Missing Persons Unit, whatever happened to Lynette Melbourne?
Is there anyone in there that you recognise at all?
Now, after 34 years, are police finally about to solve the mystery?
We could go to our graves not even knowing whatever happened to Lynette.
Does he look familiar to you at all?
Plus, a young boy all alone.
He's only 14.
The race to find Gavin, a schoolboy living on the streets.
Please come home.
And in the case of missing Victorian mum Veronica Green...
She did, in fact, have a child.
Could he be the answer to solving this heartbreaking case?
The answer is yes.
And after 3 days lost in the bush...
Steve, I'll send down 2 firers to give you a hand.
The search for 70-year-old Yvonne reaches a dramatic conclusion.
Morning, all.
It's a new week at the Missing Persons Unit.
How are we? I've got heaps here today.
And it's a full caseload with some promising breakthroughs.
Darren, you've got something in relation to the long-term missing person.
Lynette Melbourne went missing in 1972 from Penrith Plaza area.
Senior Constable Darren Connerbeer has a new lead in the case of Lynette Melbourne, missing for 34 years.
Diana and I are hoping to go out there today and go and have a word with the Melbourne family. And
it's going to be a busy day for Darren.
I believe there's an update in the Veronica Green case.
Yes, we've got some information through which I've passed on to Senior Constable Nugent in Victoria, and she's going to be visiting the daughters today and it's looking very positive.
Mandy, 14-year-old
Senior
male,
Constable Mandy Gale is handed the new case of Gavin, a 14-year-old schoolboy who's been missing for 3 days.
You got anything such?
Yeah, yesterday Pat and I went down to Northern Beaches, LAC.
And Jane Sutcliffe is back on the trail of 70-year-old Yvonne RUBAN, who's now been lost in bush for 60 hours.
Have a good day.
Last week, Nick RUBAN reported his wife Yvonne missing.
By the time I locked the dog up, I couldn't see which way she went, down here or up here.
The grandmother suffering from dementia, Yvonne was thought to be lost in dense bush.
Nick, is it? Hi, Jane.
And when family members failed to find her...
Dementia, it's a bit of a worry.
A massive police search was launched on the ground and in the air.
We haven't had any positive sign of body or whether alive or dead.
Yvonne's husband Nick was left pleading for his frail wife to return.
Everybody in the neighbourhood is looking for you, so please come home.
Now missing for 3 days, and with concern growing by the minute, police have today launched another intensive search in scrub near her home.
I'll send down 2 firers to give you a hand.
She may just still be wandering around and hasn't actually approached anyone as yet, so certainly there are some fears for her safety.
Meanwhile, back at the Missing Persons Unit, Darren Connerbeer is hard at work on the case of long-term missing woman Lynette Melbourne.
Yeah, hi Mrs Melbourne, this is Senior Constable Darren Connerbeer from the Missing Persons Unit. How are you? The big thing is obviously letting the family know about the information, which is always difficult because it stirs up a lot of emotion. We've got some fresh information in relation to her case and we'd like to come out and see you if that's okay. It's a bolt out of the blue for them to be told all of a sudden that something that they thought may have been put to rest or gone quiet has now risen to the surface again.
34 years is a long time missing, but it doesn't get any easier for Lynette's parents, Pam and Terry, who still relive that heartbreaking day their daughter disappeared.
Well, on the Sunday night she went to babysit a friend's children, Mount Druitt. And I worked at Woolworths at the time, and she'd come in there and said, could she go to her boyfriend's place? And I said, yeah, and she said, pick me up when you finish work, which was 5:30. And when I went to pick her up, she wasn't there.
And, when I reported it to the police, they immediately, their first reaction was that she'd run away. And, you couldn't sort of convince them that, no, she hadn't run away because, she's very close to her twin sister and that wouldn't have been the case.
But, I mean, she wouldn't even go out in the dark to put a bin out, let alone just disappear.
It's been a harrowing time for Lynette's mum and dad. More than 3 decades of nothing but bad news.
Then you go to the coroner's court and you hear them say, that somewhere around about the June 5th, 1972, that our daughter met her death. And, you know, that's hard to take. That all those years.
On her way to join the search for Yvonne RUBAN, Jane gets some extraordinary news.
Yeah, we've just received a call from DY station saying that Yvonne has actually been located. So her son has been searching in that area for the last 3 days and kept looking and managed to find her.
The search for Yvonne is now a rescue operation.
Look, they've walked about 20 metres that way, then they've done a right-hander and then they've gone straight down.
Police climbed down to where Yvonne was found, 150 metres deep in thick scrub.
How many blokes do you want?
Yeah, so just a couple probably to relieve us as we get up there.
The family and friends waiting above, it's nothing short of a miracle. 3 nights in the bush have certainly taken their toll on this 70-year-old.
So they're just trying to bring her up.
Back at the missing persons unit, Darren is now on the phone to detectives investigating the Lynette MELBIN case.
Yeah, you let me know when suitable and we'll organise to go out there. So there's new information relating to Queensland, obviously.
And based on this new information from police, the coroner has reopened this 34-year-old case.
Oh, all right, that sounds interesting. I'm sure the family will be happy to hear about that.
This possible breakthrough has been a long time coming for Dad Terry and Mum Pamela.
Well, we haven't lost the plot, so to speak. You know, we talk about Lynette like she's still around somewhere and just, you know, in the conversations.
We had 4 children. We've still got 4 children, but one of them we don't know where she is. And we'd love to find that out.
Yvonne's son Nick spent the night looking for his mum, and by morning, he found her.
We just had a sick feeling there. Let's go in the bush.
They heard a noise and Nick walked past and she said, "Hello, Nick."
Oh, really?
Silly.
That's great. So we just went down and just kept going and kept going and kept going. So you can't even, it's just like this. And she was down there, just sitting in the bush. Unbelievable.
Nick had searched that same area of bush repeatedly, and his instincts were right all along. He found his mum in the scrub, not far from where she was last seen.
When you're in there, it's very easy to get disorientated because you look up and you can't see anything. So she probably just didn't know where she was going. Like I heard something, because I think she must have heard us walking in, you know, like, and we kind of were spread out and we were just calling out a bit, you know what I mean? And then we just heard just a bit of a murmur, and then we just stopped because you can't hear anything when you're walking on the... If I could hear her, I couldn't see her. That's how thick it is, you know? So we just kept walking in the direction where I heard the noise, you know? What a weight lifted. I don't know, mate. I just can't explain that one. Unbelievable. Found her. What a result.
Back at the missing persons unit, Senior Constable Mandy Gale has been handed one of the day's most urgent cases. 14-year-old Gavin, missing for 3 days.
I've got a report here of a missing 14-year-old boy who went missing earlier this week. They did try and contact his mobile phone. It went straight to a message bank and they've had no contact with him now for 3 days. So we'll make some inquiries.
Hello?
Matilda.
Yeah, speaking.
It's Senior Constable Mandy Gale calling from the missing persons unit. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
That's good. Have you heard from Gavin?
No, I haven't.
Still not heard from Gavin?
No.
Would it be okay if we came round and talked to you about Gavin and just see if we can find out where he may be or get some details on some friends?
After 2?
I'll talk to you then. Bye. What a sweetie.
Back in the bush, 70-year-old Yvonne is alive. For her husband, it's the moment he's been praying for.
Are you sleeping?
Yeah.
You okay? Yeah. Fed a lot?
After 3 days and 2 nights alone in the scrub, Yvonne is finally reunited with her family.
Dad? Oh, you're pretty emotionally, you know, but I think a big relief for him. He didn't even say a word. He's just crying.
You're right. We see you up there?
She looks so great, isn't she? Yeah, she's an amazing, strong woman to have survived in the bush for 3 days, and it's great for her family to have located her, so yeah, really happy.
But because of Yvonne's dementia, there's a real risk of her wandering off again. So Jane tells Nick about a new police initiative called the Safely Home program.
And if that person is found wandering in the streets, then we can get in contact with the family and let them know where they are.
But, you know, she amazes all of us. You know, we still can't get over the fact that she's so well. So it's a great result. We'll just keep going.
Only a checkup at the local hospital will now determine if Yvonne is seriously injured.
No, she seems in pretty good spirits considering.
As the search for Gavin continues, there's still no sign of the 14-year-old. But he's always had a fascination with life on the streets. Mandy's worried he's landed himself in real trouble.
And it says in his diary, I've always grown up with a rich family. I've always wanted to be a street kid. Yeah, possibly just wants a bit of time out and hang around with his friends, do his own thing. As far as we know, he doesn't go to school, so wait and see what his mum says. We might get some more information, get an idea why he may have left home.
His mum, Matilda, fears if Gavin isn't found soon, he may never come home. Across town, Darren and Diana are at Penrith Police Station to investigate the new evidence in the 34-year-old case of Lynette Melton.
We're reopening it because we've received information from a former member of the Penrith community who has seen a person with Lynette in the weeks leading up to her disappearance.
Yep.
That person was a lot older than her. It was really out of character for Lynette to be with them, and really no one else has known about this until now.
The only reason why they came forward now, because she went missing back in 1972, so...
The person was fairly young at the time and thought that the police basically had the investigation covered and that they definitely would have spoken to this person of interest, but it seems to be the case that the people who actually knew Lynette didn't know that she had any association with this fellow at all. So
this latest lead is Pamela and Terry's last hope of finding out what happened to their daughter Lynette.
I encouraged our family to believe that we would find Lynette. But as the years go on, I mean, it becomes harder and harder to not have the feeling that, she's never going to come back. You have this horrible feeling that we could go to our graves not even knowing whatever happened to Lynette.
Teenager Gavin has now been missing for over 72 hours.
The first time he went missing is on Tuesday, the same week, and 3 days later I went looking for him and I found him in Summerhill Park, hanging out at the skate. And I brought him home. He said, "Mum, I'm sorry, I went overboard, I had so much fun." And I said, "Oh, what sort of fun do you have in the street?" They walked me to the station on Saturday night, that's the last time I saw him.
Has he taken any belongings, like a bag, no clothes, no nothing?
No.
Yeah, does he have a bag?
As sad as it is, Matilda's story is not uncommon for the officers of the Missing Persons Unit, because around Australia, over 100 teenagers are reported missing every week.
Just that he said he had always grown up in a sort of rich family, but he always wanted to be a street kid.
Mandy is only too aware that time is running out for Gavin. Back at the Meltmans' home, police arrived to break some good news to Pamela and Terry.
Shane and Peter have come out with us today and they're going to have a talk to you about what's going on with their investigation as well, okay?
Detective Peter Foulkes tells the family that after 34 years, a witness has come forward and identified a man seen with Lynette just before she vanished.
We're waiting for records to come to us in relation to that. And from this stage forward, we've still got some statements to take from Lynette's boyfriend of the time. We'll move on to the people that were closer to this person. We're basically just building up all of the information we can before we start moving closer to the person.
You know, the process is, at this stage, probably for you, is looking slow and lengthy, but if we go in too early, could be cutting ourselves off. So we'll try and do that in one hit.
I think I gave you the number for the support services.
A different suburban living room, but the same sad story of a missing child. And a mum beginning to blame herself.
Or maybe he wanted to be out there so that he can't ask for permission, or he can't ask. There's no life out there on the street, nothing at all.
Matilda's feeling of guilt is becoming unbearable.
I think I can blame myself for that, for being very strict, but I'm doing the right thing for him. He's only 14. He got a long way to go.
Oh, look,
now back on the streets, Mandy has begun her search for 14-year-old runaway Gavin.
You know, Mum's going to feel guilty to a point, you know, feel like she could have done, you know, something to stop him from going. But yeah, I think he may have just hooked up maybe with some mates and likes to be, you know, without responsibility.
At home, Gavin's mum is still asking herself why it happened.
Maybe he's getting to the point that he doesn't want to listen anymore, and he doesn't want to live under the rule of the mother.
Yeah, I don't know what the gangs and that are like around here.
So Mandy decides to visit the park where Gavin hangs out.
There's no one there.
But
there's still no sign of him.
A really good boy. Yeah, he can be up to mischief, but there's nothing more than running away like this.
Cleaning Gavin's empty room helps Matilda keep busy while she waits for news.
What we want to do is just show you a photo which has been handed to us. Photo was taken some number of years ago.
Because there's a suspect in this photo, police won't allow our cameras to film it for fear of blowing the case.
Melvin, is there anyone in there that you recognise at all?
Only here.
It clearly shows the man seen with Lynette just before she disappeared. For Pam and Terry, the stakes have never been higher. The photo may hold the key to the mystery of their daughter's disappearance.
Oh, I don't know where it's going. I just want a result, that's all.
After talking with Gavin's mum, Mandy and Pat go to Granville Station where Gavin hangs out with his mates.
Hey guys. Just wondering, we're looking for this fellow who's gone missing. He's not in any trouble with the police or anything like that. He went missing last week from his place at Lidcombe. Do you guys recognise him? His name's Gavin.
But no one is talking. As Mandy checks the carriages, her fears for 14-year-old Gavin's safety grow. It's now dusk, and he may spend another night on the streets.
He did have a bird when he...
As he scans the photo, the look on Terry's face says it all.
Is it not?
There's no mistaking. Terry recognises a face from the past.
All right, Mr. and Mrs. Melbourne, Diana and I will leave now. I think Shane and Peter still want to have a bit of a chat with you. Okay?
It's the result police have been hoping for.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, no worries. See you, Diana.
In this instance, we really don't know what happens. There may be some case that there may be some suspicion attached to her disappearance, but yet that's yet to be found out. Every day of their lives, they're living it out, and they're just wondering what went wrong. They're always looking at people on the street, thinking, are they going to turn up on the street? They're always hopeful when there's a knock on the door, is that going to be them on the door? When the phone rings, is that going to be them on the other end of the line? At the end of the day, what they're looking for is closure.
At the station, Mandy's still on the beat looking for teenager Gavin.
And we're looking for this fellow by the name of
And finally, maybe some luck as she runs into a group of Gavin's mates.
He's going to school. Have you guys seen him lately or anything? He's been missing for about a week. He's not in any trouble. We're just trying to find him because his mum's really worried.
They say they haven't seen him for days. So Mandy makes one final sweep of the platform. Back at the Melbourne residence, Lynette's parents are desperate for this new lead to go somewhere.
I think if you can get a result is the most important thing right now. If they can get a result for us.
Anybody who sees this and does know something or whatever, it would be appreciated if they did tell the police and whatever, because just knowing, as Pam said, if we get a result so that we can put Lynette to rest, would be marvellous.
While it is a fresh lead, there's absolutely no guarantees that it will end up in any sort of result. But again, it still has to be followed up. The difficult thing is obviously the family are now grasping onto some new hope that there might be, this information may lead somewhere. We'll just have to wait and see what the result of those inquiries are.
Later that evening, Mandy calls off her search for 14-year-old Gavin. He'll now spend his third night on the streets.
His photo will be added to our missing persons database, which can be accessed by any police. And it's a waiting game now.
Gavin, if you're out there, could you please call me? Well, come on. Whatever you do, I'm here for you. And you know I still love you. Come on, ring me.
Back at the missing persons unit,
Good work, very nice.
Darren has had a win in the Victorian case of Veronica Green. Last week,
And she never finished tucking me in, you know.
we met her daughters, Jackie and Penny.
And the next day that was it.
They've been searching for their mum for over 30 years.
Please come on.
Police had received information that Veronica may have adopted out a baby boy.
So that check you requested from me to find out whether or not she had given birth to a child in New South Wales during that time period, the answer is yes.
Wonderful.
It's great news that Senior Constable Helen Nugent is about to deliver to Veronica's daughters.
Darren rang me. He completed the check for me.
And it's their best chance yet of finding their mum.
There is a male child born at that time.
Wow, we really do have a brother out there somewhere.
But will their new brother lead them to their mum?
And to know that we can actually take steps to perhaps meet him.
Yeah.
That's
we could have other kids.
I've never
got
thought
other
of
cousins,
Cousins.
possibly.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty
Family's just
amazing.
growing every minute.
You're doing Christmas next year.
Now all they have to do is find him.
But it's another step in, finding Veronica, and that's what this is about, and that's what I'm certainly about, wanting to find their mum for them.
You do exist and you are out there, and we are really looking forward to making contact with you, and I hope that you will find it in your heart to want to have contact with us and our families.
Never had a brother.
No, it's always just been the girls, so it would be really fantastic if we could get to know you and your family. So please consider, and hopefully we'll see you.
Next week,
He's been telling me he's been drinking out there.
the search for 14-year-old Gavin takes an unexpected turn.
But there's no life out there.
His friends fear the worst. And missing in the outback.
You know it's going to be hot out there.
Where is David Hawes?
It's completely out of character for him.
Is he just lost in the bush, or is he gone forever? And who can forget Colin Locke's 37-year search for his dad?
I just want to see you before it's too late.
Constable Pat McEwen then found his father.
He doesn't wish for any family members to know his location.
And now, the unthinkable.
Finally going to meet my dad after 40-odd years.